What's up, y'all? You already know who it is. You see it, it's Flava Hype. I'm here to talk to y'all and let y'all in on a little bit of kind of the idea around the character I created called Ezekiel Flint Umar, otherwise known as the Widowmaker. Trust me, he's got some hot music coming out soon, but I wanted to give a little more insight as far as that goes. And people have some questions for me, so I'm going to answer them. But first off, oh yeah, let go.
All right, what was the inspiration for Ezekiel? Are you trying to blend or cross genres?
The inspiration for Ezekiel actually came about from a song that I created. It was I thought it was going to be just a one-off song, but as I started to develop it, kind of evolved a bit, and I wanted to dive into him actually being a character and see if I can create more with it. I'm not really trying to cross any genres. I'm just doing hip hop my way, and that character kind of came out. So it's just another direction I can kind of take it, if you will.
Is it an expression of your personal current events or more like an experience that other people have had?
Ooh, the current, not necessarily the current events, because he's kind of a throwback type of character to like a old western, if you will. Things that I've actually gone through, not necessarily. It's just kind of an idea of who I think like a manly man would be from the old west.
How did you decide on this alter ego and decide to integrate it? Like, isn't it the same as you being Flava Hype?
Well, like I said before, it was the song itself, but as I started to create that song, I kind of thought, what if I create more with that character? Because I've never done something where it was a continual thing, and this is kind of the continual thing. And I was like, I could develop this into something, or at least I think I can. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of it?
Isn't Widowmaker and Flava Hype the same thing? Same person? Aren't
Uh,
they all you?
they're all from me, but they're not all me because I don't really behave like the Widowmaker does. Trust me, when you hear the music, you'll know it's something completely different from what I actually do for real.
The Widowmaker persona and its creation. Why did you end up going with the cowboy character as its foundation?
Ooh, I'll put it to you like this. Growing up, my mom and I kind of used to watch westerns a little bit. And she was more into it than I was. I just kind of watched it because it's like shoot, bang, bang, whatever. But she was really into westerns, and so I always thought, that's cool that she has her thing. And as I started to listen to, it was really the track that brought it out. I thought, what if I kind of, as a kind of an homage to her, kind of create something that I feel, would kind of give her an idea and a feel, and some of my consumers and fans and all that Western style, a little more modernized, but still.
What does the Widowmaker stand for, and how does he navigate the balance between being a ladies' man and a feared figure among his opposition?
He stands for respect, and he has a great deal of honor and virtue, and he stands on that no matter what. It's just you're not gonna cross him. He's gonna be down for you no matter what. But he just kind of cuts all the other BS off. That whole ladies' man thing. He's not necessarily trying to be, but a lot of the ladies are kind of drawn to that. That machismo.
Why does the Widowmaker choose to act first and ask questions later? Is there a story behind that mindset?
It's just basically how he was brought up, how he developed into the man that he is. Didn't really have time. He didn't really have an opportunity to ask a whole lot of questions. If you didn't draw first, somebody else was going to draw, and that might be the end of you. So that's kind of his take on it.
So, what kind of message is Ezekiel trying to convey through his music and actions? Why is it important for him to be seen as dominant, fearless figures?
The dominance and fearlessness that he kind of exudes isn't something. It's a byproduct of what he actually is. Because of him being having that bravado, if you will, he just kind of has that. He can't control what people feel about that. He just knows that this is who he is as a person. And whatever, win, lose, or draw, you take it as it is. That's just who he is. Now, as far as what he stands for really and all of that, it's more like, look, I'm my own man. I've developed this persona, if you will, this this drive that I have to be the best that I can be and cut all the other nonsense out. That's all it is. Some people like it, some people don't, but he couldn't care less.
So, what challenge does the Widowmaker face as a black cowboy rapper in a landscape that may not always embrace his unique style?
The challenge is really just himself because he's not necessarily competing with anyone else. It's how can he better himself? So it's not that there aren't other people out there doing the thing and getting busy. He just knows that he has his own lane, and so he's trying to perfect that. He doesn't compete with anyone else.
And why do you think that the Widowmaker resonates so heavily with both ladies and his enemies?
It's a no nonsense type of thing. He doesn't really care for a whole lot of things. Are just cut and dry with him, and it's like, look, you're either gonna do this or you're not. I don't have time to waste on anything else. And like I said before, some people like it, some people don't. It's like it's not whether or not you like him. It's just that he demands his respect.
What elements of cowboy culture does the Widowmaker embody? And why do you think this blends well with rap music?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the struggle or struggles that a lot of the rappers, the hip hop artists out there have or have had. And so he comes from that as well. It's not the same struggle, but it's still a struggle that he had to get it out the mud. So with him, it's just like, look, I know exactly what it's like to feel this and feel that. I didn't feel it the way you felt it because I didn't deal with the same things you dealt with just because I was in a different area in a different time. That doesn't mean that I don't know struggle, that he doesn't know struggle.
What can fans expect from the Widowmaker in the future, and why should they stay tuned to see his next moves?
Mm. The Widowmaker is always going to be creating something and speaking to a specific audience. I mean, it's going to resonate with people, but what he really is doing is making sure that his voice is heard, just like everyone else's. He wants to be heard as well. He has something to say. He has a different type of message because no one else is quite doing it the way he's doing it. And so, he's representing a culture as well. Even if it's a subculture, it's still a culture.
What is the Widowmaker's philosophy when it comes to loyalty and trust, especially in a world where he's both admired and feared?
Loyalty and trust that's one of the highest regards he can give to someone, if you will. So that is so carefully, very, very carefully doled out. It's just like maybe 1 in 100 or something like that, because he's a loner. So he doesn't necessarily need anyone else because he grew up conditioned to not depend on someone else. So he doesn't really deal with a whole lot of the trust. I mean, it's rare that he would do that because he doesn't really think that anyone else can do what he does. If anyone else is around him or with him, might just get in the way anyway.
So, Flava, why was it important for you to go and make the Widowmaker persona and have it kind of at odds with traditional hip hop archetypes?
No one else was doing it. At least no one else that I heard. I haven't heard anyone else do it like that. So I know there are some artists out there that maybe, some like country and some kind of country hip hop sort of, but not really the same way he's doing it. And so that's just carving his own niche right there and doing it that way, his way.
What was the message behind the name? And tell us how his persona is different from Flava Hype.
Well, Widowmaker takes his time with a lot of things, and he's very methodic. He doesn't really waste a lot of movements with what he does. And I know I might have, energy doing this and energy doing that. And, I could be firing off every which way, but his is more driven and more concise with what he does. He delivers it a specific way. He is very direct with what he says. And that's just it. So the reason why the name itself, funny you asked that, Ezekiel Flint Umar, the initials spell F-U. That's basically how he sees it. The Widowmaker is, he's the type of character that he really doesn't care who he has to go through in order to get his point across or in order to be respected. So if someone comes along, he does not care whether or not you are married or not. And even it goes a step further because a lot of people will say that they're married to the woman or they're married to their life. Either way, they'll divorce you.
So, is there a particular moment that sticks out in your mind that sparked the creation of Ezekiel?
It after or I won't necessarily say after, but I kind of just came up with the nickname Widowmaker first, and then I started to think as I thought about more brainstorming, creating a character that stemmed from that particular song, that first song. It's not really the first song that's going to be released, but it's another song that I created first. After I did that, I started doing some research on, wait a minute, I wonder if someone has this type of name, if someone has this type of feel. So I started researching names just to make sure, Ezekiel Flint Umar wasn't a used name, or that someone would come up to me and be like, hey, you used my name and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's purely coincidental because I searched the name and couldn't find anyone with that. And I know I wanted to use Ezekiel Flint Umar. I know I wanted to use EFU because I wanted to use that FU in a song, and I was able to do that. So that's how it was created.
Is there anything in the style or delivery that really excites you about performing in the character or persona that is the Widowmaker?
Oh, just the fact that he's so different and so determined and driven. He has that draw about him that a lot of people are kind of gravitate towards that. And I've seen that in most of the westerns that I watched. That main character. It could be, the bad guy or the good guy. They don't necessarily have that wiry type of dude that people are going for. It's always the one who's stoic.
Are there any similarities or differences between the personas of Widowmaker, Flava Hype, and Jonathan?
um, they all love music. They all express that in a specific way. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan he is who he is. It's kind of me. Yeah, Jonathan and Flava Hype are very similar. It's pretty much the same person. Widowmaker is someone completely different. It's really the contrast that I think really would stand out as far as what you hear from Flava Hype and what you hear from Widowmaker.
Did you find anything challenging or did you have to rethink your approach during this creative process?
Yes, I did. The challenge was diving into a person, a character, just basically of my own creation, and giving him an identity that would be that I sell or perform with conviction. And I didn't want to just make another rap song that's Flava Hype and da 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 da. Like, no, let me create a character so that way I can use this character on down the line in succession with other songs. And there'll be an EP coming out with as the Widowmaker. But what I really wanted to do was just create this guy after that first song and kind of ride with that because I get to express a different side, a creative side that I haven't done before.
And lastly, does Flava or the Widowmaker have any parting comments for any of the people back home?
Respect everyone before you, respect your peers now, and maintain the respect for whatever it is that you do and whatever field you're in, because you probably will pave the way for others to come after you. Have them look at you as an example. Flava Hype out. Trust me, you're going to be excited about the Widowmaker. So will I.